You do. Disaster. All right, I'm just gonna set my time. Oh, I'm gonna do it here. Yeah. Start. Hi, I'm Ramana, and I'm an alcoholic. And I brought my security blanket just in case. So 15 minutes is just like a blip. I'm gonna try and condense my story into kind of the first. Well, I'm going to try and condense it so that I can talk about what I'm learning and what I'm doing in recovery today. So I didn't grow up with alcohol in the home at all. 3 of my 4 grandparents were either violent or belligerent alcoholics. And so my parents did not imbibe at all. And I always thought that drinking like looked really cool. I remember like my friend Allie's dad would have some beers on the weekend, and I was always like, oh, my parents would be cool if they did that too, you know. So I had like this, I think because it wasn't part of my growing up, I was curious about it. And so in my teens, as soon as it was, you know, there at a party, I tried it and I loved it. And I pretty much sought it out whenever, wherever I could. And as soon as I had a driver's license, I was going to parties regularly and getting drunk. And I just remember, I don't remember my first drink, but I do remember that every time I did drink, I felt relaxed. I felt like I could breathe. I felt like I wasn't awkward. I had always my whole life felt like I was the weirdo in the room. I didn't fit in. I just came up at dinner that, you know, I've been vegetarian my whole life. My name's Ramana. I was raised by hippies, you know, and a little bit different. And I remember going to public school in 2nd grade and just being like, oh my gosh, I am not like these people. And I didn't know how to make friends. And my way of making friends was taking on everything that you liked and you did and making it like, oh, I like that too. And and becoming almost obsessed with, your favorite band or your favorite whatever, so that I felt like I fit with you. I was always morphing myself into whatever I thought it was that you wanted from me so that I could be accepted. And I also was like desperate for love. I from the very beginning, used alcohol to talk to boys and girls, and it led to a lot of promiscuity and a lot of heartache. And when I drank, I felt like I could get out of my head and I could just be here now and not think about what are they thinking about me, how much of a fool am I making of myself, and that kind of thing. So I'm just going to fast forward. At 21, I became a daily drinker. I clocked out of my restaurant shift, and I went and had my shift drink, and then I went to a bar and I had 3, and I went to another bar and had 3 more, and I was off from there. And I was living on my own at the time and was drinking, a bottle or 2 of wine every night because I could. I had earned it. I turned 21, and this was like I was allowed. I thought it was totally normal. And really, it became part of everything that I did. And I was a waitress or a server for 10 years. And in that industry, it really is totally normal to, you work the shift, you drink during the shift, and then you get off and you go to the bar and you have a drink, and then the next person comes and the next person, and you shut the bar down, and then you sleep in and do it all over again. I mean, it was every day, every day, every day, every day. And I got into some not great situations. I don't want to get into too many like gory details, but just a lot of really dangerous situations that I would not have been in or let myself be in if I hadn't been intoxicated. But just tons of, I had no boundaries. I had no discernment of who I could trust and who I couldn't. And I had no idea who I was or what I wanted. And always drank because as soon as I had a little bit of booze in me, I just felt free. It felt right. I felt like me without alcohol was awkward and red and weird and an outsider. And when I drank, I just didn't think about that stuff. Um, let's fast forward several more years. I was living in Spain. I got my bachelor's degree and moved to Spain to teach, and was working for the Ministry of Education. I had my own place, and I knew that that was going to be my life. I felt so free. I felt so good. I loved it. I was, the American girl in Madrid, and could just make up whatever about myself and party. And I was worldly, and I was completely bilingual, and just I felt like I had found myself, and I was so happy there. And I had just signed my contract between my first and second year teaching there, and I came home to visit my mom. Um, between years. And while I was home, she was diagnosed with leukemia. And so I decided to, or with my sisters, it's a little complex. It was decided that I would resign my position and I would come home and I would be her full-time caretaker, because my big sister was pregnant. My little sister had 2 boys already, and I was the single one. And so I went back and I resigned and I sold all my stuff and I moved home and I took care of my mom full time. I was her caregiver for 10 months as she fought leukemia and eventually passed from the disease. And it was in that time that my alcoholism went from fun to complete dependence on alcohol, and kind of my only comfort. I think it was in that time that I started losing any sense of self, any sense of why am I here? What is the point of life? I'm living to take care of a dying person. I was grieving the loss of my life and my future and this entire idea I had built of living there for the rest of my life. And I was already terribly alcoholic before that, but that was really where I would get up in the morning and go visit her in the hospital and spend time talking with her and playing Scrabble or, just holding her hand. And then, come home and get my booze on the way home and drink myself to oblivion every single night. Yeah. Sorry. Drink myself to oblivion every night. And really, I don't even know how I made it to the hospital some mornings because I would be so hungover. But that was really, I was just in this cycle of heartbreak. And it was all I could do to just keep myself together and not have to think about what I was actually dealing with and what I was going through. So when I lost my mom, I ended up moving in with the guy I had been seeing at the time, and also an alcoholic, and it turned out to be very abusive. And it was not going well. It was long nights and fights, and then not remembering what we were fighting about, but we knew we were fighting, and lots of secrets and lots of betrayal. And I just remember I would sit in the alcove of the apartment and just smoke cigarettes out the window and drink shots of vodka and just hate this man that I'm living with, and be like, why doesn't he understand me? Why am I in this situation? But I couldn't change it. I was just trapped. And I just, I lived in this reality of if I could only, or if it would only, or if I had only, or if they would only. And it was all this fantasy of shoulda, coulda, woulda, and maybe one day. And it was total full flight from reality, as they say. Whew, getting emotional. So I fled that relationship when I got into grad school. Thank you, higher power helped me do that. I don't know how that happened, but it did. And but I pretty quickly I got through grad school, and I was drinking constantly. I would go to classes in the day and then straight to the bar, and I would read all my 100 pages from the textbook, and I would write my thesis and do everything drunk. Just, I mean, IPAs, throwing them back, whiskey. I remember I was at, if you're familiar with Loretta's Northwesterner, when I finished my thesis, and the bartender bought me a double shot of whiskey and hit that submit button, and it was like, hell yeah, I did it. I was just, I had no idea. I wonder sometimes what else I would have been able to write if I hadn't been, so intoxicated. But I just felt it was like I could drink and I could let out the things that I needed to let out. It's like I could think clearly when I was drinking, and I can't when I'm not, or I couldn't when I'm not. So then I met my husband at my ex-husband. I just said again. I was married when I got to AA. I met, he was a brewer by trade, and so our whole life was beer. And we met and got drunk every day and trauma bonded and fell in love and got married and got a house and drank all the beer that exists in the world. And and then some. There were a lot of Manhattans and crazy nights. But anyway, things started to get really bad about 4 years ago. I pulled out from all relationships, all people. I was totally isolated. All I could do was go to work. I'm a teacher, and I wouldn't drink in the morning. I felt that sense of responsibility, and like I had with my mom, like I had for all these other things, I would get up and show up. And then as soon as I had taken care of the thing that I needed to take care of, as soon as I had been seen by the world and done the thing that I was supposed to do, I had to drink. And it was like my only way to breathe, my only way to relax, just absolutely and entirely dependent on imbibing so that I could get to the next day. So I ended up, my ex-husband was also an alcoholic, and I ended up getting to AA looking for help for him on the suggestion of my therapist too, because I was complaining about, he doesn't listen to me. I can't stand it when he comes home. He's just venting. He's blah, 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 blah. And she was like, well, maybe you should try AA and see if they have a pamphlet for him. And that first meeting, it was a Zoom meeting, and I logged in, and the person who was speaking was telling my story. And I was like, okay. And it was tears. And I was wasted too, by the way. So I didn't remember that first meeting. But what they did is they invited me back, and they asked me to read How It Works for 30 days. And the next day, someone who had gotten my phone number from that meeting, this woman, had texted me and was like, here's what you're going to read. Here's, here's the Zoom link in case you forgot it. And call me if you need anything. And I showed up. And I did it. And I remember reading How It Works that first time, and it said, rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. And I decided right then, no matter what, that's what I was going to do. I was going to thoroughly follow this path. And I know for a fact that as long as I do the things indicated in this book and the things that are suggested to me by the people around me in this amazing program, that things do work out. And I know that because of what I've been shown in these rooms. I do the work, and I show up, and I go to, I was going to 15, 20 meetings a week. I now go to 6. So it's calmed down a little bit. But I've been through death and divorce and losing my home and having to get rid of half of my belongings, let's be honest. And have seen people die in the program, and seen people come to life in the program. And I'm so, so grateful that I'm one of them. I really fully believe that I did not get my life back. I got my life by finding Alcoholics Anonymous. I have purpose today. I have a wonderful relationship with my higher power that when I am struggling, I turn to it, and it helps me. I have so much faith because of what I've been shown in this room. And I know I'm a textbook know-it-all. And I know now the best thing is that I know that I don't know anything. And it's pointed out to me a lot. I have to be reminded I'm nowhere near, there's no perfect, but the seeking, right? Seeking connection with my higher power, seeking help, seeking the next right decision, and really just getting up and doing the work is what I have to always do. Whether it's I don't want to open that piece of mail, or I don't want to hire an attorney, whatever the decision, like I just have to do the thing and it works out. I have a sponsor. I've had 2 sponsors. And I have wonderful community and friends. And I'm so thankful to be asked to speak here tonight. I hope to spend the rest of my life giving back to this program and to other alcoholics, because I have such an amazing, good life today. Everything is different. I was just saying at dinner, the only thing that I still have from my old life is my, my crazy thinking, which I now know how to deal with, and my job. But other than that, my life is better and different. And yeah, I think that's it. I'm so thankful. I think that's my time. Yeah.